What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge as we are here today for a little Tuesday Tidbits, Texas edition. If you're not part of what's happening on the Sooner Surge, make sure you click subscribe, enable those notifications, like and comment. We appreciate you rating our podcast, our YouTube here. Let's get right into it, guys, with Tuesday Tidbits, Texas edition, as the captains have been named, Hunter.
Yeah, captains for Texas week. As of late, it's been about 5 normally. This week, it's 6. So Billy Bowman, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Guyton, Jacob Lacey, McCade Matoyer, and Danny Stutzman are your captains for the Texas week. They went with a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that have, other than DG and Jacob Lacey, all of those guys have experienced that Texas atmosphere. Tyler Guyton was there last year. I don't think he played necessarily, but he was there. Billy Bowman's played a lot of football. And Danny Stutzman this is now his 3rd year. It's crazy to think that. So getting into Billy Bowman, he's had a really good start to the season after not looking the best at times. 12 tackles, 4 of those being solo, a half a tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, and then he had that massive pick 6 against Iowa State to open the game this past week.
Right, and there was some conversation about he was maybe the best player on the defense all of last season while he was healthy. So to have someone like him that obviously maybe this season hasn't shined as much because of maybe like the impact of other guys that have showed up. So, but I think that this is a name that I'm not shocked to see on here. He's one of the best players on the whole entire team, and he's a guy that gets the job done, and I expect to see in the NFL in the near future.
Yeah, he's had a good season again. I mean, one of the reasons probably his tackles are down is they're not having running backs 30 yards down the field, and he's having to make the tackles. So that's a big difference. But I feel like this game could be a big game for him because it is a game. It's a game that you have to have. I think you got to have guys like him that have been in the game, been experienced, and he's going to be an impact player this week. I heard BV on the coaching show say he's the backup kickoff returner. BV was like, man, after running that pick 6 back, I was thinking we need to get him on the kickoff team. Like, he's just so athletic. He's going to have a good game, I think.
I expect to see him on the kickoff team on the first kick, guys. Yeah, Billy Bowman, not surprising, going to be a huge integral part of what happens on Saturday in the result.
So you would expect him and Farouk to be
yes,
returning kicks together? That would have the chance to potentially score a touchdown on a kick return on Saturday. They're that dynamic.
Yeah, moving on to the next captain, Dylan Gabriel had a really, really hot start for the Sooners through 5 games. 118 for 157, 1,593 yards passing, 15 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. Does have the 2 interceptions. And last year through 5 games, he had 0. But he's taking more risks. He's coming off of probably his best game in the Sooner uniform this past week against Iowa State. That first half performance from DG was a very, very impressive. Playing with that edge. I know me and Jeremy talked about it a lot on that Dime Time video we did on Sunday. And DG just has that edge, that moxie. He was kind of a little bit like Baker Mayfield there with how he was talking trash to the defenders, making contact, running right through them for touchdowns.
Hey, Dylan Gabriel's coming off his best performance. He did not play the game last year. He wants this game big time. And you know what? Guys, we've all watched a ton of OU Texas football. Jeremy, we watched more than anybody on this station between the guys here. And you do not win this game without good quarterback play. It's not going to happen. Dylan Gabriel has to be at his best on Saturday.
I want to see Dylan Gabriel not do what most people, the old adage is, take what the defense gives you. I don't want to see that side of Dylan Gabriel. I want him to kind of force the hand some ways, force the receivers to make plays. And the other thing is, if you watch any of Alabama, Texas, Alabama had dudes running wide open, and the quarterback couldn't hit them. They will have opportunities. DG is going to have opportunities to make big plays down the field. He needs to take the opportunities, take the chances, and let these Emmett Jones receivers do what they do best.
Yeah, and I think that Oklahoma at wide receiver, they have two guys that really just cause a extreme mismatch no matter who they're playing against, and Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson. I expect those two to be used heavily versus Texas and also a big target for Dylan Gabriel as the game progresses. And also that I think if Dylan Gabriel does lead this Oklahoma team to a win on Saturday, there could be talk about him being top 3 in Heisman contention for the rest of the season. I think he's playing that good of football, and I would say that it's the best football he's playing of his career as well.
Yeah, DG's been great so far. Next captain up, Tyler Guyton, redshirt junior offensive tackle. Guyton's had a really solid start to the season. I know there's high expectations for him. A lot of people think he has the potential to be a very, very early NFL draft pick. Has graded out all year, leading into the year and this year very well on PFF. So nice to see Tyler Guyton get the captain spot for Texas week.
Yeah, and how about two offensive linemen as captains? That's kind of interesting. You got Hammond and McKay Mattower too. Uh, so both those guys are going to be integral part of this game. Defensive line for Texas is very stout. They're going to have a good performance. Specifically, I've heard the talk about a lot of the offensive line with the run game. Okay, but the pass protection's been outstanding. And if you're not going to run the ball, if you're having great pass protection, that may be what this OU team is this year. You know what I mean? They may be just that much better at passing the ball than they are at running the ball. And if you're going to do that, you got to have pass pro.
Yeah, and Guyton is a physical guy. He's probably one of the most physical on that line. So I like that there's two linemen on captains. I think obviously BV and staff knows that the O line it could make or break this performance on Saturday.
Yeah, they're going to really need to get the run game going. We mentioned it last night on the live. Like, there hasn't been a Texas game, at least that we can think of, where OU was able to win without having like a 100-yard rusher or just a dominant performance in general in the running game.
Yeah.
Yeah, next up, the defensive lineman captain, Jacob Lacey, transfer from Notre Dame through 5 games. He has 6 tackles and half a tackle for loss. Really impressed with how he has bursted onto the scene. That's a very deep interior defensive line room. And Jacob Lacey has a lot of veteran experience, but with as much talent in that room, it's hard to kind of prove yourself. And Lacey has done that so far. He was a starter this past week, I believe, against Iowa State. So him getting the opportunity to be the captain in his first and probably only OU Texas matchup.
Well, and sometimes guys like that, their stats don't show up as numbers. Jacob Lacey does a lot more than what those stats show you right there, whether it's taking on some linemen to give Stutzman a free run, whatever it may be. He may not get the tackle, but he's making an impact. And guys, he's made a lot more of an impact than I thought he would this year. Because there was the injury thing and all that, and he's really done a lot more than I thought he would. So I've been impressed.
Yeah, and I think he's someone that I would say has maybe stepped in and kind of figured out his role. Maybe he's not just your superstar day one NFL guy, but he's a good team complementary interior defensive lineman that makes the winning plays. And Oklahoma, really on the interior, I'm not sure that they really have a game changer, but they truly just have a lot of guys that play good, solid, winning football, which makes their interior of the defensive line such a hard unit to have to go against every single week.
It's what they had in 2000 as well. Had some depth and had some 3-star guys that just did their role. And what Jacob Lacey does the best, guys, is he's a plugger. He plugs the middle. He forces guys to bounce out, and then the Stutzmans of the world and the Kennecks of the world will chase him down. He is not going to maybe wow you, but he is the best middle plugger that goes unnoticed that I've seen in a while. Go back and watch film on him, guys. He's just plugging the middle. He's forcing the hand of the running back.
Yeah, he's doing his job. He's not. We've had the issues before where players would try to make that play, and then them doing that, they're leaving the gap open, and a big play happens from it. So Jacob Lacey's, like you said, done very well of sticking to his role and allowing the linebackers to make those plays. McCade Metallier, redshirt senior. He's a captain for the Texas game. This is his second Texas game. Did not realize that till a minute ago. He did not give up a sack all of last year and all of the year before. So he's really he's been one that's caught a lot
Do
of
you
slack.
know if he's allowed a sack this season?
If I'm going off of memory, I would say no. He might have against Iowa State, but I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he hasn't allowed a sack all year.
Yeah, and he honestly, if you look at the lineman who maybe has improved the most, it's him. And I didn't even realize that he didn't have any sacks allowed last year, but he's definitely a vocal leader on the line. He's a guy that's been around, as he transferred in, and he's kind of made a name for himself here. And he's got a lot of people kind of talking this lineup, and he's been the first to kind of call caution to the wind, but he's played well all year, guys.
Yeah, OU will be without McCade next year as he's out of eligibility unless there's some crazy – it's hard to keep up with all the COVID rule stuff and all redshirting and how some guys got extra years, but I believe he's completely out of eligibility. It's nice to have him as that veteran leader for the young guys that are going to be taking over next year.
Right, and he is someone who maybe isn't just like your Tyler Guyton-esque player in which he has the ceiling, but he has a nastiness to him that really, I would say that last season he didn't play his best ball just because I feel like he was hesitant and he didn't maybe have the nasty streak that he had whenever he transferred over from California. But now that he's, in my opinion, adjusted to the Big 12 play, he's starting to find himself, and he's playing the best ball of his career up to this point at Oklahoma. And someone who, as I don't remember who said it, but has really turned into a vocal leader on the offensive line and someone that Bill Bedenbaugh has counted on.
You saved the best one for last one here.
Yeah, the captain that's earned that spot for Texas week more than anyone else, Danny Stutzman. He's been playing out of his mind. He didn't have his best performance in any means against Iowa State, but it's still not a terrible performance. Through 5 games right now, he has 49 tackles, 21 of those being solo tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and a pick 6. Danny Stutzman's playing at a Butkus level. Like, there's no other way than to just say that flat out. Danny Stutzman, if he continues on, he's going to win the Butkus Award, and maybe we're talking about Danny Stutzman after this week as having that legendary moment in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, watching his last game, he had the stinger that apparently, I listened to the breakdown and they were talking about he's been fighting a stinger for a while. And then also, it's kind of like it's great when he has the 13 tackles, but also when he doesn't, the team defense is probably better that he's not making every tackle, right?
Oh, this past week, I guess you could say probably not because they had those big plays allowed, but I get what you're saying. Like, the team as a whole is usually, for the most part, stepping up. I know in the second half they did, only allowing 80 yards.
Yeah, but you wouldn't – there's no way he was not going to be a leader in this game. Just take away his play. Just take that out of it. He was going to be captain because of his vocal leader. He is the leader of this team. I know a lot of people with DG, but Danny's the overall leader of this team. And you knew he was going to be captain this week.
He is.
And if you heard his post-game interview the other day, somebody asked him about trophies, and he goes, you don't get trophies, but this week we could get a trophy, bringing the hat back. So, that's important. It's a big deal.
Hey.
Big deal.
Yeah, and listen, for if you want to go back to last, Danny Stutzman remembers last year. It wasn't just that OU was shut out. They had 49 hung on him, guys. The defense wants this. everyone wants to talk about Davis Bevel last week, but the defense did not play well. Granted, they were on the field the entire game. Okay, but one clear, evident sign of leadership to me is when you get the guys around you to be at their best. Danny does that, and I vividly remember against Iowa State. Did you see Marcus Stripling in the huddle was really amping everyone up? At one point, I think it was going in the fourth quarter, and Danny Stutzman was right there next to him. He's causing everyone to be better.
Yeah.
Vocal leaders across the board. That's the sign of a leader. Okay, not just someone yells at you. He's got everyone better.
Yeah, I don't know if
And
you guys.
I'm all in for Danny Stutzman all over Quinn Ewers this weekend. He's going to get sacks, multiple sacks. I promise you.
I don't know if you guys saw it on the TV broadcast, but as soon as Danny Stutzman came on the field to start the game, he was getting the crowd going, immediately pumping up the crowd. Like, as soon as he stepped on the field, Danny started doing it, and the whole team started doing it, and the Palace was rocking last week.
Yeah, man. Stutzman, he is really the heart and soul of this team in a way with the way he leads. Like you see it, he's the guy that everyone has really focused on, really just as an Oklahoma fan and all of the players on the Oklahoma team. Just they all have really got a sense of comfortability with Stutzman. And a quote that is said is, you play how like your best players lead. And if Stutzman leads at such a high level, right, the players are going to follow that, and they're going to be really just super amped to play with a guy like Stutzman. And, man, I do think he's going to have a massive week and show why he does deserve the Buckus Award.
Yeah, drop your comments, guys, about Tuesday Tidbits Texas week. I think this is a great lineup, great core of captains that have been chosen this week. Excited to get after it in the Cotton Bowl, 11 a.m. early kick. If you're going down there, get you a turkey leg before you enter the stadium. Don't forget to click subscribe. Be a part of what's going on. A lot of content in the next 6 days. You don't want to miss it. Till next time, Boomer.